Chapter 1. The Weight of Silence. They say a thief's greatest weapon is silence. I disagree. Silence is heavy. It draws attention. Makes people wonder what you're hiding. No. A good thief knows how to belong. We slip through the cracks by pretending we've always been part of the stone. My name is Corinne. I wasn't born a thief. At least, not in the way you're thinking. My mother was a washerwoman. My father, a soldier who never came home. I learned early that the city of Elmere doesn't give, it trades. And sometimes it takes without asking. The first day I stole something worth more than a loaf of bread began like any other. Fog coiled in the alleys, chimney smoke stained the skies, and the smell of piss and roasted barley mingled like perfume. I was 18 and already 5 years into a life of petty theft, coin purses from drunk merchants, trinkets off distracted nobles, apples from stands too rich to miss them. But that morning, I wasn't after fruit or coppers. I had my eye on the house of Valen. Valen was a silk baron. Rich, paranoid, his manor stood 3 stories tall on the edge of the merchant quarter, guarded by stone lions and 2 meat-headed mercenaries who called themselves knights. I watched the place for a week, learned the shift changes, and marked the blind spots. I climbed the back of the wall after the bells tolled midnight, fingers numb from the spring chill. The moon was a silver, and the sky was mine. I remember the way my heart beat. Steady, quiet, like a war drum muffled in cloth. I landed in the herb garden without a sound. From there, it was a servant's wing, then the narrow staircase that led up to the baron's study. The door was locked. But locks are conversations. Most people just don't speak the language. Inside, the air smelled of varnish and dust. Rich men always keep their secrets in the same places. Behind books, under floorboards, or in gilded boxes made to look like religious relics. I found Valen's beneath a loose stone in the hearth. A letter sealed with black wax, not addressed to anyone. I shouldn't have taken it. But the moment my fingers touched that parchment, I felt it like a current in my chest pulling me forward. I didn't break the seal. I just slid it into my coat and walked back out the way I came, shadows folding around me like a second skin. By dawn, the city was stirring, and I was just another face in the crowd. I thought I'd done it. Another clean job. No alarms, no screams, no blood. What I didn't know was that letter wasn't just paper and wax. It was a death sentence. The letter sat on a crooked table in my loft. A dark sliver of night pressed between 2 rusting candlesticks. The black wax seal hadn't been broken. Not yet. I stared at it like a man watching a sleeping viper. Fascinated. Cautious. A little afraid to breathe too loud. My loft was no palace. Slanted ceiling. One tiny window that wept cold wind all winter. And floorboards that groaned louder than a drunk priest. It sat above a tannery in Southmere, where the stink of hide and lye made sure no one came asking questions. But even in a place like that, the letter didn't belong. It looked wrong. Like a noble had dropped a drop of blood on a beggar's robe. I lit a candle. Its flame trembled. My hands were steady. Mostly. The wax cracked under my knife with a brittle pop, like bone giving way. Inside was a folded page. Thick vellum. Expensive. The kind you don't write shopping lists on. There was a single paragraph, written in a hand so sharp it could have cut skin. You hold proof of the Valen Pact. The sigils within mark debts older than kings and more dangerous than war. If you are wise, you will burn this immediately. If you are not, you have already been marked. By opening this letter, you are now hunted. Below that was a string of inked symbols, 3 circles inside a triangle, each lined with gold leaf. Almost invisible, unless the candlelight caught it right. I didn't know what they meant, but I felt them in my gut, like old magic or older crimes. I turned the letter over. On the back, in tiny, frantic writing, somebody had scrawled 5 words in a different hand. They walk in daylight now. I don't know how long I stared at that line. My mouth had gone dry. The room felt smaller. My candle flickered like it wanted to run. Outside, somebody knocked. 2 slow raps against the wood of my door. I never told anyone I'd come home. 2 slow knocks. Not the drunk stumble of a neighbour, not the hurried pound of a city watchman. These knocks were deliberate, patient. Like whoever stood on the other side knew I was there and was in no rush to come inside. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The candle hissed. Wax bled down its side, pooling near the open letter. Another knock. The same rhythm. I slid my hand beneath the table, fingers closing around the dagger I kept strapped to the underside. Iron hilt, worn smooth. It wasn't pretty, but neither am I when cornered. The floor creaked as I rose, slow as frost. My bare feet whispered across the splintered boards to the door. I pressed my ear to the wood. Silence. Then, Corinne. A voice whispered, low and hoarse like wind scraping through dry reeds. You should not have read it. My stomach clenched. I didn't recognize the voice, but it knew me. I looked at the window. Small. Too small for me to squeeze through it in time. One exit. The door. I drew the bolt, silent as sin, and opened the door, just enough to slide the blade through the gap. Say another word, I growled, and I'll cut your tongue out and sell it for scrap. No answer. I widened the door a sliver more and looked. The alley was empty. No footsteps, no retreating shadow. Nothing but cold fog curling around the stones like smoke from an invisible fire. The tannery's barrel stood silent, and the half-moon peered down through a tear in the clouds. I stepped out slowly, blade at the ready. My breath made clouds in the night air. Then I saw it, on the door, right there, right where the voice had spoken. A handprint. Black. Smudged across wood like oil, but it wasn't wet. It shimmered faintly as if trapped between this world and another. I reached out, touched it. Cold. Colder than stone. A wrongness sank into my fingertips like a splinter of winter that wouldn't melt. I staggered back inside, shut the door, bolted it hard. Whatever I had stolen from the house of Valen, it wasn't a letter. Not really. It was a key. And something had followed me home to make sure the door I opened stayed locked. If you enjoyed this chapter, please take a second to like this video and subscribe if you want to come back for more.